Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I hope that you are doing well. We are in week 2 of our free course on becoming a butterfly. How to come up and out of your cocoon and find your wings and spread them and fly. So, I am Becky Joe. I am your host, and we'll be together for probably about the next 45 minutes. So, last week, for those of you that weren't a part of last week's class, last week we talked about uh, your beliefs, what you believe about yourself, what you believe about your world, what things are you holding on to that are truth, but you think they are. So we navigated through a little bit of that, and I did a little bit of a energy healing at the end, a meditation type of heal and release of beliefs that are unempowering. So if you haven't watched that one, I would highly recommend you go back and take a peek at it. So since we talked about our beliefs and how we will move forward with believing better, more empowering things, I wanted to move into talking about relationships and what relationships we have in our lives and which ones we should hold on to and keep and which ones we should nourish and which ones we need to let go of. Okay? So the very first relationship that you really, really, really should be focusing on is your relationship with yourself. That is the number one relationship that matters to any human being. Why? Because if you cannot have a loving and heart centered relationship with your own being, how do you propose that you will have a loving and heart centered, mutually beneficial relationship with another human being? It's a good question, isn't it? Truthfully, it wasn't in my life until I learned that, hey, I I have to love me because I'm going to spend my whole life with me. Okay? I spent so many years absolutely repulsed by who I was, how I thought, what I looked like. The list goes on and on and on. We all do this to ourselves. We all do this in many different forms of self sabotage, where because of how you grew up or things people said to you, especially if you're an empath like myself, you carry that very, very deeply, what other people think of you. And I know when I was growing up with relationships and things, I used to think, because I'm so energetically sensitive and I could feel everybody's uh, energy and emotions around me. When I was a child, I used to think that when I could feel somebody's negative emotions, that they didn't like me, or it was towards me, or it was my fault, that maybe I made them feel that way. So I would spend a lot of time overdoing it to try to, in my mind, I thought, if I can just get these people to see me for who I am, then they'd like me, right? So I spent my relationships overdoing and overgiving and overbeing. Who can relate? How many of you have done that? If I just do one more kind deed, then they'll notice me. If I just keep doing everything they want me to do, maybe they'll finally love me. If I just keep on giving myself away, they're finally going to do what I want them to do, or how make me feel how I want to be made to feel. Well, guess what? It never works. That never happens, guys. The people on the other end of the line have no idea that you're even expecting anything like that. So, as much as you want to navigate that, basically all you're doing is putting yourself in this prison in your mind of trying to successfully feel how you want to feel in your heart, and you're going to fail every time. Every time it will be a failure. And then you're going to feel like a failure. Then you will think you're a failure. And then it just keeps on spiraling. Okay. On the other end of that, though, on the other end of that is knowing and learning and trusting and understanding that the only relationship you can control is the one you have with you, with yourself. So if you don't get right with how you feel about yourself, your body, your mind, your thoughts, your beliefs, your world, your life, you're never going to be happy in any other relationship. There's no possible way if you don't connect or understand that love comes from within. And if you don't love yourself, you cannot love other human beings. You may temporarily love them, you may feel love for them, but if your cup is empty, you have nothing to give, and then you get together like romantically with somebody else who's like that, both of you are going to spend your relationship bouncing your empty cups off of each other and pulling from each other. And that doesn't ever work for a very long time either. Those are the relationships that end in resentment. Okay. So, how can you learn to love yourself so that your cup is full and overflowing? And then, guess what? Now I have plenty to share with everyone else because I love myself that much. When you feel that love for yourself, it radiates out, and then everything in your life changes because you're in that energy of love and abundance and prosperity. Everything flows in your life when you love yourself, and it's the greatest relationship you'll ever have. When you can respect that, when you can treat yourself as the divine being that you are in flesh, when you can see your divinity in other people, then, my friend, you are ready for healthy relationships. But most people are kind of at the point in their journeys where relationships have been a struggle with parents, with friends, with, siblings, with children, with coworkers. So most people are completely unaware that these these beliefs we have about ourselves and the areas and the spaces that we don't love ourselves are even affecting everything in our lives. Okay. So people that are sensitive and empathic and very loving and heart centered, a lot of times will go through most of their existence like I used to, where you completely give of yourself till there's nothing left. And upon doing that, okay, you begin to feel very resentful. Like I said, either that or you end up in a relationship or with relationships around you with people who are narcissistic, who will completely continue to keep pulling from you. As we all know, relationships need to be give and take, and it needs to be in balance, mutually beneficial in order to flow, in order for you to flow forward with your life. Okay. If you're staying in a relationship because it's convenient, and everything in your spirit, everything in your soul, everything within your senses of your physical body are telling you that that is not a match for you anymore, but you're staying anyways because it's easy. It's easier to stay. Let me tell you, the universe puts people into our lives for a specific purpose on purpose. Okay. And some of them are not meant to be in our lives for the whole period. They're here for a season, so to speak. during that season, you learn from them, they learn from you. A lot of times they mirror back to you what it is that you feel insignificant about in your own life. And that's an interesting one because so many people do that in relationships where they feel resentful towards that other person or angry or disgusted or whatever it is that you feel. There's these things that the other person does, and it really gets your goat. It really is annoying, or it's hurtful, or whatever it is. I highly recommend, for your best good, that you really look at yourself and ask yourself, why does that bother me? What is it that that other person is doing that is offensive to you, so that you can work through that, or you can learn how to heal yourself. Okay. I'm not saying somebody else's ugliness is your reflection. I don't buy that. What I'm saying is we can always learn and grow from our relationships, and everything is here to help us. Kind of like the book written by Matt Kahn. Everything is here to help us. Whatever arises, love that. Because when we do our learning and growing from these relationships and then they move out of your life, then you step to the next level. Okay, when you make a higher choice for yourself instead of staying in relationships that are not serving, and you know they're not, and you stay there, you know they're not. And many people will say to me when I ask them, why are you staying in that relationship? If you're Are you happy? Well, no, I haven't been happy for a very long time. So what's good about the relationship? What is a positive about the relationship? And then they'll say, I don't know. Don't I can't think of anything. So if you can't think of one thing that's positive, or put it this way, that's helpful to your life, to your journey in a relationship, no matter what kind of relationship it is, then why are you staying there? You came here to Earth to learn your lessons and grow and evolve. When you get to a place where there's nothing helpful going on here, it's time to move forward. The universe is saying, you've learned everything you're going to learn. Your contract is done. This character in your play is no longer in the scene. Okay? You have to be very brave and understand and know what's happening on a bigger picture and stand up, rise, and move forward. Okay? Is it going to hurt? Absolutely. But I can tell you that it'll be the best thing you ever did, because the more we stop fighting against the current, the more we stop fighting life and we allow it to flow and be what it is going to be. Some of it we like, some of it we don't like, but learning either way to navigate somewhere to the center, okay, where we're kind of just neutral about it. That doesn't mean spiritual bypassing, or that doesn't mean that I'm telling you, don't feel the way you feel. I want you to completely feel the way you feel. I want you to completely work through how you feel, be it positive or negative, so that you can come back to your center. Okay. When we're in our center, when we're aligned with the higher part of ourselves, when we are living our lives based on our own spirit and what your spirit is telling you, not what other humans are telling you or want you to do, that is true spiritual growth, my friends. Okay. So the other thing I want to say about relationships too is don't let don't let yourself sabotage your relationships. That's another thing that we do in our society. So many of us who have been damaged by other people, who haven't worked through that or healed that yet, will kind of get stuck in that mind frame of, Oh my God, it's happening again. Oh my God, it's happening again. And this is a different person, and that person probably most likely isn't doing what the other one did. But if there's a similar vibe to it, okay, you can let your mind get stuck in, oh my God, it's happening again. Oh my God, this person is doing that. Instead of that, I want you to sit down and have a talk with that person. Discuss how you're feeling. If it's somebody who truly loves you and isn't like that, they will be more than happy to look you in the eye and work through it with you and grow with you. By doing that, you're healing these wounds. Sometimes the universe presents it to us in this way so we can make a choice to either keep in that loop that, oh my God, it's happening again, or to make a better choice and stand up, put on your big girl or big boy panties, look the person in the eye and say, listen, this is this is how I'm feeling. This is what happened to me, and I'm trying to heal from that, and I'm trying to grow from it, and I want to evolve out of it. However, I feel confused. I'm having some confusion. Can you please explain to me? However you word it. You don't have to word it like I do. I'm just trying to get you guys to be a little bit deeper and a little bit broad, more broad in how you look at things, not just black and white and one sided. Look at it from someone else's perspective too. That helps tremendously. Okay. So when we get to a point where we are actually coming out of our cocoon, so to speak, we've been through the dark night of the soul, we've worked through many, many, many imperfections. We have let go of the things that no longer serve, and now we're ready to change our beliefs about ourselves, which is the number one step to rising, is changing your beliefs. The second step is really taking a deep look at your relationships. Okay. What are you doing in your relationship that you may be damaging another human being too? That's the thing, is many people only think about themselves and think about how they want to feel in a relationship, but really part of being in a healthy relationship is always thinking for the greater good of everybody. And you know like every day thinking of your partner or your friends or whoever, like, how you know how can I make their life easier? Because a lot of times, we make each other's lives hard when we try to control each other, when we try to mold people into what we think they should be. And that's another key point here, is really looking back to the days of the Bible, and when Jesus walked the planet, and not just Jesus, many other very highly evolved souls that walk the planet have spoke of this too, about how when we live our lives as though we are representing everybody, okay? And when we think of ourselves, you're not just thinking of the self, you're thinking of how you affect another person in a relationship. Because the truth is when you're connected to your spirit, right? You can feel and know that you don't ever want to affect another human being in a negative way. When we're living our lives to make sure that we're affecting other human beings in a positive way, it brings good vibrations to you. It brings good karma to you. It keeps you in the flow. But when we're affecting personally with our own energy, affecting another human being in a negative way, not only does that contract your energy and pull you in, it also gives you karma. So you really want to choose, like, as much as I possibly can, I want to try to affect everybody in a positive and loving, heart centered way. Now, we are human beings, and I don't care who you are. There's not one human being on this planet that's completely angelic all the time. We are human. If we weren't, we wouldn't be here. Okay. We came here to learn how to balance our light and our dark, and everybody has both. I don't care what anyone tells you. Okay. So so with that said, it's really like when you start healing your life and you start healing who you are, and then you start healing your relationships, the very first place to start, like I said, is with yourself. How do you treat yourself? How do you talk to yourself? What do you think about yourself? Do you do you tell yourself cruel things? Cuz if you do, you have a lot of work to do because you are perfectly divine, infinite being and nothing less. So if you think you're less, you have some work to do. I used to think I was less too. That's where your work lies, is knowing who you are, and definitely without a doubt, this is who I am. Who you are is all the beautiful qualities, all the things. Like, sit down and say, what am I good at? I'm good at this, I'm good at this, I'm good at this. Those are my gifts. Great. Beautiful. Let's focus there. Okay. How can I share these gifts with humanity? How can I share who and what I am with other human beings in order to raise their vibration and sparkle, glittery, whatever energy all around the planet? That's why we're here. We know that. Okay. So, truthfully, once we do that, once you can really let go of what anybody and everybody else thinks about you or believes about you, then you can bring in the truth of who you truly are and let all those illusions go. Like, we get so caught up in these false identities of who we are. And so then, therefore, we'll get caught up in false identities of who other people are because you view people from your lens of perception according to what has happened to you and what experiences you've had in your life. Okay. And the same is true for everybody. So other people may not be viewing you or think you are who exactly you are. Okay. So that's why it's really important to really know your truth, be in your center, and be strong in your conviction of who you are, and work very hard to get to that place where this is who I am, and nobody is going to tell me different. Nobody knows but you. You and God are the only two that matter, whatever God means to you. But you, your spirit, and your connection to the universal spirit is your ultimate answer as to why you're here and what lessons you're learning and what you're supposed to be doing in relationships. And many of us have, I believe, that many of us have reincarnated here many, many, many times because we don't get it, we don't get it, we don't get it, we don't get it. We come here to awaken from the illusion that we are separate from God. And when we awaken from that, we open up who and what we truly are. And then we start seeing ourselves in a different light, do we not? As we see ourselves in a different light, everything changes. All of a sudden, you start seeing the world in a different light. Okay. When you do that, you close the hell off you were living in and you open the doors of heaven and you live heaven on earth. You channel heaven to earth. We bring that beauty here and we return to the Garden of Eden. Isn't that what we came here to do? Yes, it is. We came here to return to the garden. Okay. So in doing that, we have to do that inner work. We have to understand that relationships are meant to help us grow and evolve. Okay. If anybody's staying in an abusive relationship because you think that's what you deserve, then I'm here to tell you today that that's not true. That's not true at all. there's so many people that are in these what they call twin flame relationships, and for some reason somebody somewhere along the line told people, and then they told people, and then they told people. So there's a belief out there that these twin flame relationships are meant to be rough, you know. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, sometimes they get real violent. But if you can work through that, then someday you'll ride off into the sunset, into this perfect life, if you can just get through it. And I'm sorry, it's a beautiful story, sort of. Not true. Not true. Because when it comes to your spirit and your divine team around you, uh, protecting you and your source, even though we may have soul contracts with other people, with other individuals that we came down here to experience certain things with them, the moment, the moment that abuse begins or somebody is being physically harmed in a relationship, game over. Contract dissolved. Done. 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 You do not have to think you have to stay in an abusive relationship because somebody told you that that's your twin flame, so you best just put up with that. It'll eventually get better. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You did not come down here and make contracts with God to be abused. Nobody did. Okay? When there's abuse happening, you cannot control it. The only thing you can control is making the choice to say no, no more. I want better for myself. Okay. And that's a great step in moving forward and understanding the universal laws of relationships. Okay. When somebody abuses another person, or like I said, affects another human being in a negative way, that comes with a great price. Even if you don't pay the price when you're here, you will pay the price for that. Okay. So don't abuse other people. Don't make other people feel bad and stop the manipulation. That is old paradigm. We're moving into a new paradigm, more peaceful, more loving and heart-centered, okay? So if you're in these relationships where there's manipulation and guilting going on, rise above that too. Stop allowing other people to manipulate you in any sort of way, okay? And stop doing it to other people. I used to catch myself once I awake, kind of awoke to that and realized that that's what I grew up in and that's what I learned. Therefore, that's what I was doing to my kids. And I'm not alone. Most of us grew up with guilting and manipulating to get what the parent or the authority figure wanted, which is very it's very negative. It's bad juju, okay? Because we each have our own path that we're on. And if somebody's manipulating you off of your path, that's that's on them. You need to recognize if you manipulate somebody off of where they're headed and you turn their course and their life by your, manipulating them to do what you want, then that's on you. So we need to not do that anymore, you guys. I know we didn't know better, but we know better now. Don't guilt your kids into doing what you want through your agenda. Let them have their own agenda. You have your agenda. Meet in the middle, okay? Don't don't make your kids fear being who they are because they know that you won't accept them. Accept them for who they are. Meet them there, okay? These little kids that are growing up right now, these little star seeds, they're highly evolved souls. They're way different than we were as kids. Okay, we our generation, we're cycle breakers. We came here to break these cycles of abuse. Okay, so let's do that. Let's really work hard to break these cycles of abuse and you know addiction. We no longer need to use our relationships to mold other people into what we want them to be so that we're comfortable. Okay? That doesn't work that way, and you are really disempowering another human being when you do that. I don't want you to disempower other human beings. We need to be empowering each other to be who we are and accept each other for who we are. If you don't like somebody, that's okay. You don't have to like them, but leave them be. Okay? Don't talk about them. Don't spread gossip about them. Leave them be. If you need to leave a relationship, lovingly leave it in the past. Do your forgiving, do your forgetting. Just understand that we're just not meant to be anymore, and that's okay. Let that person be free to go on their path and do what they need to do, what their soul needs to do while they're here, okay? And you do what you need to do. You follow your path, stay in your lane, okay? I can't stress enough to you how important it is to truly learn how to love your own self and stop allowing other people to make you feel terrible about yourself because you're beautiful. You are absolutely beautiful. You are perfect and divine, just the way you are. And no matter where you are right now is where you're meant to be. I can promise you that. Okay. I really want you guys to work through these things. And next week, we're going to go a little bit further into learning how to love yourself. Okay. We're going to go into detail about that next week because it's a hard thing to start. Once you start, it becomes habit. And then once you love yourself, you love life. Okay. You just humbly, gratefully, thankfully love life once you realize who and what you truly are. Okay. I love you guys. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you've learned something here today, and I will see you guys next week. Many blessings.